Delphi update. The Delphi case is already nuts, and things just got crazier. My name is attorney Marc Lopez, and allow me to bring you up to speed on recent developments in the Delphi case. On September 18, 2023, the attorneys for Richard Allen filed a 136-page brief that had all sorts of allegations in it. One of the more interesting allegations was that the scene of the crime involved pagan ruins, specifically ruins linked to a pagan cult linked to Odin. This was the first I've heard of that, and I thought at the time, that sounds nuts. What was even more crazy was that one of the original investigators sought out and spoke to a professor at Purdue University about this Odin cult connection. Now, at some point, the investigation into the Odin pagan death cult was determined to be a dead end, as investigators reported that the Purdue professor said the murders and the ruins were in no way connected, and certainly not to an Odin cult. But then something weird happened when Richard Allen's attorney said, "Hey, thanks for letting us know the professor said the murders aren't related to this Odin death cult, but we want to talk to him." The prosecutor said, "We lost his information. We'll let you know if we find it." In fact, the prosecutor handling this case on September 6th of 2023 emailed Richard Allen's defense attorney saying, "We don't know who he is, but if we find it, we'll pass it along to you." But guess what? The prosecutors got caught in a terribly awkward position because it looks like the investigators found and interviewed this mystery Purdue professor on September 19, 2023, the day after Richard Allen's attorneys released the 136-page memo alleging in part the connection to the Odin cult and the murders of the victims. And guess what? Despite investigators' claims that the Purdue professor said the murders and the cult of Odin were not related, the Purdue professor in the 9/19 interview says they do appear to be connected and that it's a given someone was trying to replicate Germanic ruins. So who is this professor? His name is Jeffrey Turco, and from what I can see online, he is an expert on Nordic literature, folklore, Germanic literature and folklore. He has a pretty impressive resume with books and articles and interviews and whatnot. Now, whatever you might think of a degree in folklore and mythology, I can tell you right now that based on his PhD, publications, and titles, Dr. Turco qualifies as an expert under the Indiana Rules of Evidence. Now, Doctor can't say whether or not Richard Allen did or did not do it, but he can say whether or not he believes that a pagan death cult may or may not be implicated in these murders, so long as his opinions are based on his knowledge, skill, experience, training, or education, which clearly he has plenty of. Now, of course, a jury in Indiana is 100% free to accept or even disregard the opinions of any expert, including Dr. Turco. Now, I don't know if these murders were part of a pagan death cult worshiping the Nordic god Odin, but what I do know is that this professor's interview wasn't given to the defense by the prosecutors by email. It wasn't hand-delivered on a CD with a note saying, "Hey, we found the professor. Here's the interview. We know you've been wanting it." The interview with the professor was given to the defense team as part of a data dump on September 27, 2023. And the file wasn't named Purdue Professor. It was just saved as the professor's name, which the defense team did not even know the name. So basically like a very confusing file. Even worse, the investigator who interviewed the Purdue professor acknowledged in the interview they knew the identity of the professor for 3 to 4 weeks prior to the interview, which means the email by the prosecutor to the defense team on September 6th was either a lie, purposefully misleading, or the prosecutor does not know what's going on with the investigation. As a criminal defense attorney, all three possibilities are equally terrifying. I'm not going to lie, this looks terrible for the prosecutors and the investigation. It looks like they're hiding the ball. This whole incident appears to be objective evidence that prosecutors and investigators are not playing fair. And that's not fair to Richard Allen, and more importantly, that's not fair to the families of the victims. I want to remind the prosecutors in this case, a prosecutor's job is not to win cases, it's to obtain justice. And hiding evidence is not justice. I, for one, have a little bit less faith in the justice system after reading Richard Allen's attorney's brief. And I encourage everyone watching and following along to always question people in power. If you've watched this far, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. And remember, always plead the fifth.